Hi, I'm Kevin. It's about 7 o'clock p.m. and I'm getting ready to make this stuff. It's called salt rising bread. From what I've read, salt rising bread was widely made by the early settlers in the Appalachian Mountains. And contrary to the name, the bread contains almost no salt, nor does it contain yeast of any kind. The bread gets its rise from bacteria that forms in fermented potato water. And the bread has a crackling crisp crust. Well, listen to that. Sorry, I'm going to talk with my mouth full. It also has a chewy crumb and an exquisite aroma. It's really a unique bread, and it's not difficult to make. So first we have to make the starter, which begins with a potato. So this is just an ordinary russet potato that I purchased from the supermarket, and what I'm doing is cutting it into quarter-inch slices. And we may not need to use the entire potato. We shall see. And then we need a clean quart-size mason jar or bowl. And we're going to put the slices in the jar like this. Try to get them to lay flat. And we want to fill the jar just halfway full with the slices. And let's see. Yep, we're good. Then to the potato, we are going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar. In you go. And then we need 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda. I keep my baking soda in this little tub. It keeps it fresh. So here's 1.5 teaspoons. I'll add a little more of the baking soda. And we need, get ready for this, the salt. A whopping 1/4 teaspoon. And then we need 3 tablespoons of just regular all-purpose flour. 1, 2, 3. Then we have to add some boiling water, so hang on. Yeah, I boiled my water the same way the settlers in the Appalachian Mountains did, in the microwave. And we're going to add enough water to cover the potatoes. And then this next step is up to you, because some folks say to do it, some don't. We're going to stir the flour and the salt and the baking soda into the water. Yeah, some recipes say to just dump the dry ingredients on top of the potatoes and then add the water. But I do it this way, okay? And I'm using the handle of a spoon to do this. And we are mixed enough. And then, also like the early settlers, we're going to take, oops, I'm caught up here. We're going to take a piece of plastic wrap or cling film, place it over the jar, and then so the fermenting stuff can breathe, we're going to cut a little slit in the top. And then hang on so I can talk with you. So this starter needs to be kept warm for 8 to 12 hours. And by warm, I mean 100 degrees. And if you have a proofing feature on your electric oven, by all means use it. That's what I'm going to use today. And if you don't have a proofing oven, then just put this on a common drugstore heating pad and wrap a towel around it just as insulation. So the reason I'm doing this at 7 o'clock in the evening is because I'm going to let this stay in the oven, proofing oven, overnight for 12 hours. So at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'll meet up with you again and we'll have a look at this. It's supposed to foam all the way to the top. I'll see you tomorrow morning, bright and early. All right, it's bright and early the next morning. I've just come home from the dog park. Take Avery there every morning. And here's our starter, 12 hours later. Sorry, I have a whining cat over here. What's the matter, Tiger? Anyway, here's the starter. And as you can see, it has foamed dramatically. It's come almost all the way to the rim of the jar. And I have to tell you, the odor of this thing is not pleasant. Some people say it smells like strong cheese. I think it smells worse than that. Anyway, it's the strong smelling starter that leads to a very pleasant smelling bread. So let me show you the next step. So place a sieve over a large bowl and then pour the starter through the sieve so that all the potatoes will come out and all of the good smelly foamy stuff too. And then we want to get all of that starter into the bowl, so just shake the sieve a bit. There we go. And then we're going to discard these potatoes. They have given their all. And then we're going to add 1 cup of warm water to this. So in goes the water, and it's warm water, about 100 to 105 degrees. And then we are going to add enough flour to produce a pancake-like batter. Just whisk that in. That's 1 cup. Let's see if it'll take another. Another cup. Oops. Yeah, we're looking for a thick pancake type batter. And I think we're good. So then this goes back into the proofing oven or some other warm location, whatever you have available to you. And I'm going to cover it with a towel. And we're going to let this sit in the warm oven for about 2 hours or until it doubles in volume. It'll turn really bubbly. So we'll come back. All right, it's only been 90 minutes and look at that little bit of starter. It completely filled this bowl. Actually, it stuck to the towel that I had on top. So let me show you, well, let me give you another close-up. I'll move the camera because I want you to see how active this stuff is. It's really bubbling away. Egad, it's alive! So here's what we're going to do. You have to start adding flour to this. And our aim here is to make what some bakers refer to as a shaggy dough. And there are no exact measurements in this bread recipe, unfortunately. So a lot of it is intuition. So I've just added 1 cup of the flour. We're deflating the dough quite a bit. And then we're going to add another cup. We'll see what happens. Stir it around. And salt rising bread tends to have a very sticky, soft dough. It's very different from ordinary yeast risen breads. Very different from sourdough, for instance. I have a great sourdough starter recipe on my website, as well as sourdough pancakes and a rustic sourdough bowl. So if you want to see those recipes, visit my website. You'll find the link in the description box below. Okay, we are looking good here. So now we have to flour our workstation, which for me is this marble board. I'm gonna put quite a bit of flour here. Let me fix the camera so y'all can see. Okay, Food Network, this is not. Take this back a little bit. And then I'm going to put some flour on my hand and then scrape this wonderful stuff onto the board. See what I mean by sticky? Okay, a little more. There we go. And then we have to put some flour on top. I'm going to add about a half cup. And then we knead, but we don't have to knead as much as, say, you would need a yeast bread. And I need my bench scraper. I hope you have one of these things. It's great for lifting very sticky dough. And what we want to do here is incorporate the flour that was on top of the dough, as well as the flour on the board, into the dough. Oh, this is beautiful dough. And we just turn the dough, push it out, turn the dough, push it out. Already it's losing some of its stickiness. Something tells me this video is going to be longer than 4 minutes. Thanks for sticking with me. I think videos can be very helpful if you're learning how to cook something. But a heavily edited video that skips a lot of steps is not too helpful. I think we're actually where we want to be now. So the dough is pretty smooth, but it's very soft. So what we're going to do is form it into a rough rectangle and then cut it in half with this bench scraper. And then, see, before I do anything else, I need to grab my bread pans. This should be enough to make 2 loaves. I made the same bread yesterday, and I got 2 loaves out of it. Then, hang on guys, I have to wash my hands. Well, I didn't quite wash my hands. I just had to get some of the sticky dough off of them. And then we have to grease. These are 9-inch bread pans. 2 of them. That's enough. You could butter your pans if you want. And then we're going to, since these are 9-inch bread pans, we want to make roughly a 9-inch rectangle like this. And then, let's see, do we have 9 inches? Yep. And then we're going to roll the dough this way. Roll it as if you were rolling a cigar. And then, if your loaf stretches to longer than the bread pan, as mine did, just tuck the ends under. Okay. In we go. See? Then you can pat this gently into the corners of the pan. And then do the other one for you, although I'm sure you don't need to see it. But we're already a long video, so why not make it even longer? And we roll up a cigar. Tuck the ends under if necessary. We're getting sticky again, but that's okay. In you go. Looks like a big caterpillar in here. Okay. Then we're going to cover the pans. Let me move the camera again. Yeah, so we're going to cover the bread pans with a towel, and then the bread needs to rise in a 100-degree environment. I'm using my oven set to the proofing feature. Again, you could use a common drugstore heating pad to keep your bread at the right temperature. And we want the bread to rise all the way to the top of the pan. That will take 90 minutes to 2 hours, so we'll be back. You might be thinking, hey, Kevin forgot to add salt to the bread. Well, when I made the bread yesterday, I didn't add any extra salt beyond that 1/4 teaspoon that was in the potato starter. I thought the bread was going to be really bland, but after it baked, it was totally delicious, not bland at all. I did not miss the salt. But if you want to add salt, the time to do so is when you're adding the flour to make the shaggy dough. And as a rule of thumb, you would add a 1/2 teaspoon salt per each cup of flour. So there you go. I'll see you shortly. Well, apparently my starter was even more active today than it was yesterday, because it only took about 70 minutes for the bread to rise all the way to the top. Actually, I should call it dough, not bread at this point. But we're going to bake this off until the loaves turn brown on top. And that will take 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, our bread is ready. As you can see, they are bronze and beautiful and begging to be eaten. But we cannot eat them just yet. We have to let them cool to room temperature. So what we can do is invert them on a wire rack. Ooh, even the sides and the bottoms are beautifully bronzed. And listen, a nice thump. That's how you know the bread is done. I'll let these cool, then we can come back and have a taste. Alrighty, it's time to taste this salt rising bread. I want you to hear this crackle. Oh man. Here's the crumb. Just beautiful. And I have some softened butter here. A little dab will do. Bottoms up. Can you hear that? Okay, this bread is truly remarkable. I wish I could describe the flavor, but it's so wonderful, it defies description. Let me show you from the 2 loaves that I made yesterday. This is all that remains. It's that delicious. I hope you'll give this bread a try. It's absolutely worth your time, especially if you like to experiment with traditional foods. I'd also like to give a little hat tip to someone who identifies herself as Badger Gardener over on my website. She mentioned that one of her goals for 2020 was to make salt rising bread. And salt rising bread just remained in my mind, and I found a recipe by James Beard, and I played around with it a bit and kind of created my own version. So Again, give it a try, and if you'd like to see more recipes from me, be sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, and be sure to tap the little bell icon so that you can receive notifications every time I upload a new recipe. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.